an act to provide property tax deferrals to low-income seniors and low-income persons with disabilities. Mr. Sherman.
Member from Thornhill.
Thank you, Speaker, and I move second reading of Bill 143, an act to defer property taxes for low-income seniors and low-income persons with disabilities.
Mr. Sherman moves second reading of Bill 143. Pursuant to Standing Order 98, the member has 12 minutes for his presentation. Member from Thornhill.
Thank you very much, Speaker. And first of all, I'd like to thank my friends from Welland, the member for Welland and the member for York West, for co-sponsoring this bill. They have clearly agreed with my view that it was an important step for these times. It's also, in a very real way, the completion of a circle for me in this Legislative Assembly. I arrived here in 2007 and very quickly learned that members got a very small amount of time, but nonetheless a period of time, approximately once a year, to debate their own personal, private members' business. And the first thing that I put before the Assembly was a bill at the time entitled Bill 72, which contemplated exactly what this bill does, but it got shot down. And the reason it was shot down were a number of things that I hadn't contemplated. So Bill 143 is a redo of that bill with every single one of those elements addressed, so that it now should, by all rights, be acceptable to all sides of this Legislative Assembly. And I suppose for that reason, Speaker, we wound up with sponsorship from all three sides. In any event, I'd like to proceed with the debate and first of all welcome to the Assembly these visitors: Dominic Lee, Peggy Lee, Renee Wan, Kim Liao, Ronnie Lee, F. Zheng Lee, Anna Chun, who are all members, or actually the members of the Board of Directors of the First Chinese Senior Association of Vaughan in my riding. Morris Jessian of the Ontario Society and Coalition of Senior Citizens Organization, also with us. And I see a certain Carol Sherman, my wife, just entered the Assembly.
That's your daughter. That's your daughter.
No, it's not my daughter, it's my wife. And I'd like to acknowledge the support of Susan Ing, President of the Canadian Association of Retired Persons, as well as Warren Carroll, a founding member of the Thornhill Seniors Centre. And I'd like to acknowledge the support of Josephine Mastro de Casta, President of Concord West Seniors Club, also in the riding of Thornhill. Approximately 49% of Ontario's population is from the baby boom generation. Speaker, many of the people in this legislature, indeed, are from the baby boom generation, which began in 1946 and ended in 1962. Being born in 1947, I guess I'm what's called leading edge and approaching that period of time where I'm going to be considered a senior. Now more than ever, it is imperative that we put in place conditions that assure that this cohort does not create an unnecessary burden on the health and long-term care system. By 2017, Speaker, the largest segment of the Ontario population will be 65 plus. Think about the ramifications on the health care system, on long-term care beds, on retirement homes, on everything that has to do with people who are in an aging milieu. And that period of time will see us with the largest cohort of 65 pluses ever in Ontario. Dignity and respect are the byproducts of staying in one's own home longer. The financial benefits accrue to the entire system as well. Bill 143, a complete redo of this earlier attempt to reduce the burden on fixed-income seniors, touches every button here. Keeps people in their homes with dignity, does it at no cost to anyone at all, makes the entire process easy. But some will say we already have property tax assistance programs, and we do, but they are neither cost-free nor uniform across the province of Ontario, and that's what we're seeking to address here. By way of background, in 2006, Toronto had an uptake of 2,367 applicants for this city's cancellation program and 70 applicants for their deferral program. Many municipalities, and I include places like Muskoka, Niagara, Sudbury, Thunder Bay, had no participants despite very high senior citizen populations and hardship, and that's because the programs are different from place to place, so there's an inconsistency and people don't even know they exist. To date in Canada, property tax deferral programs are offered at the provincial level in British Columbia, in Prince Edward Island, and Nova Scotia. Similar programs offered at the state level across the United States. In Ontario, Property tax deferral programs are available at the municipal level as prescribed through the Municipal Act 2001 and the City of Toronto Act 2006. My bill contemplates replacing all of that with a uniform and a cost-free Ontario-wide property tax deferral system for those who require it. This Act will allow eligible owners to defer their property taxes. Defer. That doesn't mean they don't pay them, it means they defer them. This would allow them to remain in their own homes while offsetting the burden of property taxes. The eligibility criteria are quite clear. You have to be a Canadian, you have to be an Ontario resident, or you have to be a resident for 10 years or longer. A senior citizen of 65 plus is mandatory, or the recipient of ODSP, and the equity in the property in question must be a minimum of 25%. Very important, because if you're going to defer payment of the property tax and it's going to be taken at the disposition of the property, there has to be some equity to go against because there's a lien registered. The property taxes are deferred, they are not lost. Taxes must be repaid with interest at the earliest of the death of the owner or the change of permanent residence of the owner. So this bill comes at a time when Ontario seniors are being hit very hard. They're being hit with impact assessments that they never anticipated getting. They're being hit with the additional costs incurred because of HST application on things that have to be purchased for that home. One example is electricity. One example is heating fuel, whether that's natural gas, oil, whatever it happens to be. They're being hit with hydro increases, and every side of this assembly has a different view of why the hydro increases are there, but nobody can deny that they are. And people on fixed incomes, which are mostly people who are 65 plus and retired, it hurts. Property tax increases also play a part. Property taxes are rarely stable for very long, so as those rise, again, that fixed income, generally the result of a nest egg, oftentimes one that's been hit hard over the past couple of years during the recession, creates a further problem in terms of ability to pay. And ability to pay is what drives this bill. This bill then offers Ontario seniors the dignity and the respect that they deserve after contributing so much to their province and to their society. There's broad-based community support for this type of approach. The First Chinese Senior Association of Vaughan, well represented here today, has said in a letter to me, and I quote, "Living on fixed incomes, many members of the Seniors Club would be eligible. This would be a great relief." The Thornhill Seniors Centre, been there a long time, very active, over 1,000 members, most of them living in their own homes. They've said, coupled with spiraling energy costs and HST on services previously not taxed, some of our members worry about keeping their homes. And I can assure you, Speaker, and I think everybody in this legislature from all sides and from all corners of the province would agree, you've all received letters, you've all received emails, and all of them do more than allude to that. They say, you know what, I'm in jeopardy. And there are many cases like that. And then the Canadian Association of Retired Persons, CARP, Susan Ing, who I mentioned earlier, couldn't be with us today, but in her letter, I'm quoting, "With energy costs expected to rise precipitously over the coming years, a property tax deferral program should help older Ontarians stay in their homes longer and with greater financial security." And regardless of what you're talking about in this legislature, whether you're talking about the availability of long-term care beds, whether you're talking about alternate level of care, whether you're talking about retirement homes and the ability to accommodate people, whether you're talking about home care and the ability to deliver services to people, all of these things come into play, and all of us want to keep our seniors in their homes for a longer period of time. And goodness knows the seniors themselves want the ability to live independently and with dignity in a place that they, through their sweat and tears, have possessed, purchased, usually the largest single purchase in anybody's life, and have maintained, and they want to be able to continue to maintain it. In terms of disability, a disability should not be a prison sentence. people who are able to live in their own homes, should be entitled to this small element of respite or relief. The bill restores dignity and respect to a segment of the population that struggles with a stigma every single day. This bill addresses the disparity in the rollout of social services in Ontario's numerous and diverse regions by creating an environment where people with disabilities can receive services in their own homes and not an institutionalized setting, at no cost to anyone, no cost to the taxpayer, no cost to government coffers. Bill 143 helps to keep seniors living in their own homes with respect and dignity. This bill would help reduce government spending. It would alleviate the pressures on retirement facilities by reducing the number of residents who would be in need of them. Bill 143 has already received the support of my co-sponsors, one a Liberal, one from the NDP. It is clear that the importance for tax relief for seniors and persons with disabilities is needed now, and it transcends partnership. When I presented the precursor to this bill, we hadn't gone into a recession yet. Now we have, and people on fixed incomes derive those fixed incomes from investments that are now no longer as large as they once were. We have to remember that. The bill helps to protect seniors and persons with disabilities who have given so much to society throughout their lives. This is a method of the province being able to give back to them with a hand up, not a hand out. By mandating property tax deferrals for low-income seniors and low-income persons with disabilities, we are assuring that the most vulnerable members of our community are able to remain in their own homes and maintain the level of dignity to which they are entitled. Bill 143 is about making Ontario affordable for all Ontarians. Neither low-income seniors nor persons with disabilities should be put at a disadvantage. They deserve and are entitled to remain in their own homes. Considering that under Dalton McGuinty, the wait list for a long-term care bed has more than doubled to over 25,000, it would seem like the only option the McGuinty government has is to support seniors living in their own homes longer. And if that doesn't make the difference, consider this. The province invests tax dollars, reaps interest from those investments. There's always some amount of churn or money in the bank, so with Bill 143's passage, some of that investment becomes the investment of money in virtual loans through deferred taxes at a rate of return commensurate with the marketplace. There's no reason to deny these people that opportunity, and there's no reason from a cost perspective to deny it either. Thank you, Speaker.
Peter Sherman, the member for Thornhill, should be applauded and commended for bringing it into this chamber.
I want to commend my colleague, the member from Thornhill, for introducing what I believe is a very critical piece of legislation.
So I'm delighted to speak in support of this bill presented by the member for Thornhill, which gives low-income seniors and disabled residents of Ontario a fair chance of maintaining the dream of home ownership.
I really hope people on the opposite side will take a second look and support this and give us some real credibility as parliamentarians that we really do care about those low-wage income earners and the senior citizens that help build this province and make it the greatest place in the world.
The operational issues, specifically that occur.
I love to support your bill, but in which premises? Which premises? Which premises?
Thank you. The honourable member from Thornhill, Mr. Sherman, has 2 minutes for his response.
Thank you very much, Speaker. And not too long ago, the rules in this legislature changed to allow people to create co-sponsorships of bills, put parties together so that you could transcend the lines and see what people's points of view were, so that we could put bills like this on the table for discussion. And now I can see why a couple of days ago my co-sponsor, the member for York West, said he wouldn't be debating this bill. It's clear that the Liberal Party does not want this bill to pass, at least not coming from this side, or maybe very particularly coming from me. I don't know, but what's unfortunate is it was never meant to be a partisan bill. It's not about partisanship, and that's why there were 3 parties co-sponsoring this bill. It is about helping seniors. And when I hear the member, for example, from London Fanshawe, say that he's here to try to come to some consensus and then run through a litany of all of the wonderful things that the Liberal Party has done to help seniors and adds them up to form a total of $1,000, and you put that up against what happens when you've got $5,000 in property tax hitting you every year, where you no longer have that $5,000 as part of your cash flow, you can see where the sentiments of the Liberal Party really are. The same thing in the lackluster presentation of the member from Kitchener-Conestoga in basically parroting what she was told to say from the Finance Department of the Liberal Party. I've got to tell you, both of those members and some other ones, but specifically both of those members, should expect to see the member for Thornhill in their ridings during the coming election campaign to tell their constituents just how much they care about seniors' issues. You don't give a damn because you're screwing them. That's what you're doing. And your constituents are going to hear about it. So I want to thank you very much for your debate, and I know the vote is a foregone conclusion. Thank you very much.